Good afternoon, you got well, good morning. I'm up. I never going live this time of morning, but let's go.
Witnesses, and because of the new timeline report, is there a timeline shift in what happened the afternoon and evening? Nolan Wells seemingly disappears, his body found washed up at Horn Island. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. What is in that autopsy?
Now I really want to see the other autopsy to see, is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened?
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
I have no doubt that what we're listening to and what she did is credible.
Not only has the timeline been analyzed by the Cajun Navy, the U.S. Cajun Navy, based on all sorts of statistical data, new photos are emerging. Take a look at this photo before we go to the Cajun Navy. Look at this. Check out what you're seeing. Look at all the boats surrounding where Nolan was. Leave up the photo out to Caitlin Becker, senior national correspondent, New York Post, star of New York Postcast, their new podcast. Caitlin, what are we seeing?
Well, what we're seeing here comes from this new report from the United Cajun Navy, and you're seeing several boats strung together. This is one of the first images that we've seen of this certain configuration of boats there. They're all identified, one of which was the boat that Nolan came out there on. There's several others kind of anchored with it and tied up, which begs the question of where was Nolan when this photo was taken? Because it's unclear if he's actually in it. What time was this photo actually taken? So what you're seeing here is, as you said, a potential pool of witnesses.
Hey, Caitlin, look at this. There's boat number 1. There's boat X. There's boat number 2. There's boat number 3. And there's a boat from which the photo is taken. Now, look in the water. There much has been made. Nolan Wells
Thank
was
you for the
drinking.
love.
Okay. Well, apparently everybody was. They all have containers, open containers in the water. Okay. As far as I know, that's not a felony. Boat number 1, full of people. Boat X, full of people. Boat number 2, full of people. Boat number 3, full of people. People on the boat from which the photo was taken. Some of these boats tied together. You know what that means in my world, Caitlin Becker, joining us from the New York Post? Let me see, Caitlin, please. That means witnesses. See, when I look at that, I see witnesses. Other people say, hey, there's people having a good time. I see witnesses. Do you see all those people?
And a lot of
Caitlin?
them.
Who were they? Have they been spoken to? Have they been polygraphed? What can they tell me?
That is the question, right? We don't know from an investigative standpoint who has been spoken to, exactly who is in this photo, and what they have or haven't told law enforcement, because there hasn't been really any transparency there. But from what our reporting has showed, there have been dozens of people who have spoken to law enforcement as witnesses. But Nancy, we don't know if it's any of these people that you're seeing in this little cove area right here. And the timing, I think, is really important because these images are taken right around, I think the timeline's about 3:30-ish, 4:30-ish, when the boat that Nolan came out there on leaves and starts taking on water. That's one of the pegs for the timeline. When these photos were actually taken, that is a peg for a timeline. But what we don't know is where Nolan is. There he is. You can see that image right there. But we don't know is where Nolan was when that first image that we saw with all of those boats kind of tied together, when that was taken.
You are seeing a photo obtained by our friends at the United Cajun Navy. And speaking of the United Cajun Navy, joining me now is Brian Trasher, Vice President, United Cajun Navy. And for all of you attacking the United Cajun Navy, let's see that aerial footage they provided us. This is from the Cajun Navy describing their search, their aerial search. They spotted Nolan Wells's body. They have been integral in the search for Nolan Wells and helping elucidate the facts as we know them. Brace yourself, Trasher. Everybody else is getting death threats. You might as well join the party. To you, Brian Trasher, the United Cajun Navy has come up with a timeline. Now, did I hear Caitlin Becker from the New York Post correctly that that photo where the boats are named Boat 1, Boat 2, Boat 3, and Boat X, is that from you guys, the United Cajun Navy?
First of all, I want to thank you for calling this report what it is, and it's a timeline. And some people have called it an investigative report, and that's not accurate because, as you know, we're not investigators. And what we did, Nancy, was we asked our followers, say, hey, if anybody was there that day, you have pictures, videos, whatever, send it to us just so we can go through it, see if there's anything relevant. We took all that information and compiled it into just one digestible report of things we thought were relevant and could be helpful. Maybe they're not. Maybe law enforcement's already seen all this and it's nothing new to them. But we just wanted to be transparent about what we received. So going back to your question, the pictures that we received, we did not, as an organization, take any of these photographs. These are all images that we received from people who were trying to help us out and trying to help Nolan's family out.
So you asked the public for help and you got it. You got a treasure trove of photos. And I find this one significant. Guys, we've got an all-star panel, and I would like the all-star panel to look at their screens because I've talked about this before, Brian Trasher, and I'm frankly fed up with attacks on the United Cajun Navy. They're doing something, which is more than all of the haters can say. They're doing something. They have amassed evidence. They have created a timeline to the best of their ability. They have shared it with us, unlike the autopsy that is complete, is being kept secret from us. That said, they're helping. Why trash them? That's, I'm not a shrink. I can't answer that. Let's look at this photo and determine what, if anything, we can discern. Brian, you and I have talked many, many times, and I told you about a serial killer I finally convicted on one case, or the jury convicted him. And I proved a lot because of one earring I found in a particular location. The victim was wearing an earring, and the other earring had been sliced out of her ear, and I found it somewhere else. And I learned a lot because of where it was. Now, don't even bother to tell me that this photo that you have produced is not probative of something. The cluster of boats. Number one, I see a lot of witnesses. Trasher, do we know what time this photo was taken?
We don't know definitively times on all these because even though they're time stamped, it could be a time when it was screenshotted, stamped, not necessarily the original photograph. So we were very careful to denote that in our report that we can't verify timelines, although based on shadows and positions and things like that, we can determine that some of these, as noted, are taken in the late afternoon. One of the things I thought was interesting about some of these photos we got, Nancy, was that a lot of the photos we had seen before were people like in waist deep water. Well, some of the photos we provided show people up, water up to their chest, almost to their neck. And that's not really wading. That's treading water, in my opinion. And that I thought might have been significant to know that many people were, perhaps enjoying some libations, but also in water that might have been a little too deep just to be playing in.
Good point. You also said something else really smart. And I certainly do not want to rely on this, but sometimes you have to, you take the evidence as you find it and you make the most of what you've got. You said you could tell this was late in the afternoon because of the shadowing. I wonder if the tide could tell me anything because how high up the water is. But these people holding drinks, they're not treading water, Trasher. They're standing there. These people are not treading water, and the water is up to their armpits. Is that the photo you're talking about as to where you think some of them are treading water, or are there other photos?
The photo at the top, yeah, you're right. It's about up to their armpit. I think there was one later in the report that that showed some of the kids. This was a screenshot of a social media post and there's 3 boats visible, one fourth boat further in the distance, but a lot of kids on one boat. I say kids, young people on one boat, some on the boat, some in the water. And some of them, it looks, maybe up to the armpit, but some of them, depending on their own height, it looks like it's, I could see a girl holding something in her hand, and the water looks to be pretty close to her neck. So that's pretty far out. Now, we've said several times that Horn Island has a very aggressive slope. So you can be in shallow water and deep water within just a few steps. And once you get into that deep water, you're not as able to keep your feet on the ground if a current comes and pulls you, or God forbid, a riptide comes and drags you. So that's why we thought it was significant to know that they were socializing in fairly deep water.
Can we go back to the main photo where the boats are numbered 1, 2, 3, X? Isn't it true, Brian Trasher, that these boats are easily identifiable by I call it a tail number, like you would a plane? Every boat has to be registered, or supposed to be registered. It has a number on it. It often has a name like Triton. One was named Mac Daddy. There were other names. They're registered, and you know who the owner is, and the owner can tell us who was on the boat that day. Is that correct?
Theoretically, yeah. If you can make out the registration number or the name of the boat, if the vessel's name is registered, along with the registration number. Usually that's sometimes only on a Coast Guard document, but sometimes on a state registration, you can put the vehicle, the boat name if it's asked for, or if you have one. So that is all possible. I'm told.
See, what they do is they will talk in this language, right? Because I don't go swimming, I don't go boat riding, right? But we have a lot of effing common sense. We will go look up ish and understand ish and call places to find out ish. So they just think like, if we could just tell them this, maybe they will go away. Black community is not going away on this. So they have a machine. They normally do what they have to do to make things go away, allegedly, right? But we have a bigger machine. It just were y'all like what's going on right now and what's been happening. We have been taking care of our neighborhoods, even though we're not in neighborhoods, but we've been taking care of our people when it comes down to stuff like this. And the machine is the internet, and y'all have to understand what that means, because it's times where people get real racist. We find out who they are. We go to their jobs. We go to anywhere that Black people reside, business or services from. We'll make sure that those people are not allowed to serve us. If we're going to come to your establishment, right? So people don't understand the number game, and that's what life is based on: wealth, land, number game. Who we can have the mass majority. These people saying we should be mad with these people. We could do whatever we want to do. You know what I mean? Like, I dare you guys to tell us what we can and cannot do when, regardless to what ethnic background he is, he still has a Black father. And in America, wherever people don't understand when they come here from Africa and all these other places, and then trying to make us Africans look, the American Black people, right? They don't understand, even when you come here and if something happened to you, Black America will stand up for you regardless. So I don't understand why they constantly want to fight us on, you're African. No, we're not. Stop telling us what the colonizers told you. You guys don't understand what we know now as Black people in America. We understand that we were here. We didn't come here in slavery. We was not slaves. Yes, they were slaves. What you call them, indigent servants. And so they took the indigenous service and started saying they were slaves. These people wrote contracts for food and shelter. People did that back then. You know what I mean? You had like the barbarian slave trade. Well, that's how the white people came here. And you have the nationalization law, and that allowed them to get citizenship. And you have the White Man Slavery Act, and they got, they were able to stay here after a certain period of time. So my thing is, we have to learn how to go and read things, because this stuff is in the archives, you guys. All that paperwork was not wrote by a white man. It was wrote by Black indigenous people. We just had our preachers and our leaders cleaning and rubbing stuff out so they can be above us. You get me? But let's get back to the Nolan thing. I just wanted to, like, they telling us what we should do. No, if we don't act a fool, if that's what they call it, we act a fool. Guess what? They wouldn't be doing this, running scared, hiding stuff. People are truthful, they won't hide anything. Like, had he really allegedly drowned on his own, this would have been open shut thing long time ago. They just trying to be careful. They're not playing with Black America right now because I think in their head they think it will probably be a problem. You know what I mean? They're gonna have to cross their I's and dot their T's, and then you can't pay nobody out because we are the machine. Like the Carmelo Anthony thing. We're the machine. We went to our leaders that holler about you, my leader. You could do promo for this boy. This boy have no business getting 35 years. You get what I'm saying? So we apply pressure to the ones that said that they are in position to be able to help us when they should have been there from the beginning. They should always have people working in each state that's dealing with Black people when it comes to these courts. Like, it's so much that needs to be cleaned up when it comes down to leadership. Well, we only can be in one place. Then you hire your staff, paralegals, because I am a paralegal and we do all the effing work. We do all the effing work. They have 50 states. There's no way that you shouldn't have a representative, you know what I mean, in every state. In every state, when it comes down to incarceration and different things that's overseeing things that's going on within our community. I just don't understand it.
Well, and we're asked to compare notes with the sheriff's office, which we're doing. But I was told that there's been a lot of people that have been contacted and interviewed, and there's a lot of people who were there that day that voluntarily came forward.
You know what? We have all these acts, and we also have treaties too that we don't make them abide by because we are always running our mouth on the internet. People take these people to court and they win. Even when the situation talking about the bus boycott thing, if you go read, it was a 15-year-old girl and she went to the Supreme Court and won. So there couldn't have been no slavery. If it was slavery, they would have looked at her as less than and told her XYZ. They have lied to us. They have lied to us. That's all I can tell you.
Forward to tell what they know, and because they might have seen their boats and pictures, said, "Oh, we might want to go ahead and call them, let them know, where we were, who was with us, and what we know." So I commend those people for coming forward because it's not always easy.
To Marie,
And I will tell you, I am sharing a link. If you want to join, come in. Do not be with the foolishness because you know what I mean. Not saying you or nothing, but y'all, I'm on at a weird hour because I can't sleep, and I did not go live like I normally do at 12. So I'm just up. Let's see what's going on. I watch stuff in real time when y'all watch stuff in real time because I still got a business.
Pereira joining us in addition to the Vice President of the United Cajun Navy, who
I'm sorry about that. I guess it's StreamYard. I don't know. Like my whatever. I don't know what. Let me put it back up. My apologies, y'all. It just went down and I'm back up. I guess. All right, let's go back up. I don't know what StreamYard tripping. You know, it's going back and
A violence expert certified advocate. Marie, you saw that. All those people in my book are witnesses. One of them is saying at 7:30 Nolan was nowhere to be seen. Now, I want to see the video or the photo again because you want to tell me that this guy, Nolan Wells, hit his head and drowned, and none of those people saw what happened? I find that really hard to believe.
It is hard to believe, and that's why it's extremely important that the law enforcement are not too proud to get help from the public. Like you said, if people are sending in videos, they should be using those videos to conduct further investigation. I'm praying that this is a situation like Brian Koberger, where the police department, they were being ragged and being called ranky-dink police, while all the time they were investigating and putting together a case against him. I hope that yeah, because all the time they were saying, "Oh, what are they doing?" It was I think the DA had a long, big beard, which wasn't very conducive to believing he knew what he was doing, but they knew what they were doing.
I know, it looked like Leonard Skinner sitting there. Hey, that videos from Officer Tatum's podcast. All this means witnesses to me. And do you remember in the Diddy case, there was actually a toll-free number for victims to call? There were that many victims. Not that it helped at the trial, but that said, I think there needs to be a toll-free number. If you think you have evidence, dial the number. If you have photos like the United Cajun Navy is doing, they asked for the public's help. They got the public's help, and there's more to get. That's what is needed now. Every picture, every video. How often have cases been cracked when someone spots something in a picture they hadn't noticed before, or their memory is jogged by a photo or information they've seen online? I've pointed to this a million times. Brian Trasher, the Gabby Petito case. Her body would never have been found if it weren't for amateur sleuths. I believe their name is red times, blue and methane. They were a couple out in the middle of nowhere and dispersed camping where there are no porta potties, no lights, no hookups, no anything. It's just you and the wild animals. I've camped and dispersed before. They're out there and they see a vehicle and they go, that's Gabby's Ford Transit. And they call authorities who would never have gone to this dispersed camping area, and they find her remains.
Wow.
That's how the case was cracked. Who knows what photo, what tip, United Cajun Navy or law enforcement or the Nolan Wells team might get that might crack this case wide open. So that said, Brian, how did you create this timeline? I find it very interesting.
So, first of all, going back to your comment about internet sleuths, a lot of people consider themselves internet sleuths. Some people really are good. And there's one young lady who's helped us out on many cases, who was very helpful in this case. I haven't asked her permission yet if I could say her name, but if she gives me permission and I come back on, I'll be happy to give her credit for all the help she gave us. But basically, what we did was we took, like I said, we took these pictures, we juxtaposed them to, like Google Earth and satellite pictures of the islands to try to determine exactly where they were. We looked at the initial coordinates called out from the, I think from the Coast Guard or from Marine Patrol when the missing persons report first went out, and basically just try to run these pictures against each other to say, okay, this boat's here now, it's not here later, and again, just create an index. We had to use some software to help us create the index of the pictures and make sure we put it into the best timeline we could. We included social media posts that, may or may not have been definitive, but this was happening in real time, so we thought it was important to put those up there to create context. And so again, like just trying to, our goal was to take what we received, put it into a digestible format that just about anybody could understand, hopefully, And if it's helpful, great. If it's not, then I don't think no harm, no foul, you know.
To Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, based on this timeline, and it may be refined as the days go forward, how does it shift the timeline? Because there is a group of people fighting at 5 p.m. Who are they? The friends say they leave at 4:31. That should be able to be verified through GPS. 5 p.m. Nolan, according to them, is still at Horn Island. Is he? Because by 7:30, witness states Nolan nowhere in sight. So where was he? He wasn't floating in the water. He wasn't on the shore. If he had, hold on, Dave, to Joe Scott Morgan, if he had drowned, wouldn't he be floating in the water?
Perhaps. I've seen bodies in the immediate that will go directly to the bottom. And there are those that do in fact float. So a lot of it is going to depend upon the temperature of the water many times. A lot of it's going to depend upon, is there anything else out there that could, let's see, how can I put this, that could in fact impede the body's ability to float to the top, like beneath a boat. And as you can see, there are a lot of boats out there. So if in fact that had occurred, you can actually have bodies that will be caught beneath other vessels. I've worked cases like that where they were looking around for someone, and they couldn't find them because the whole area was surrounded by vessels. And so there are a lot of elements that go into this answer.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. If you are a homeowner, you probably thought, should I call American Financing to refinance and pay off this debt? But you don't because of your low mortgage rate. That low rate, it's not saving you if you're drowning in credit card interest. People are calling American Financing, and American Financing is saving customers an average of $800. That's not in all, that's a month. Net slacks are based on, because her sister's posted and we've obtained her photo, we think. She says he left with his friends. They say he stayed with her. Okay, that's a problem.
Yep. That's a problem. And there are also quite a few friends that he had come out with. So the Triton that he was on, there were 3 or 4 people on that particular boat. That's the one that he had come out on, and the one that his friends say, we asked him to get back on the boat. He didn't get back on the boat. His phone was on the boat. We left. We took on water. We needed help. He said he was going to stay to talk to this mysterious, as you said, Katie. Mysterious Katie says that she talked to him for a minute. It was no big deal. Then his friends called him back, and that's where he went, and she just assumed he went back on the boat with his friends. The issue I think that we're running into here is that the friends weren't just the 4 that you're seeing right here. There were multiple boats, 3 boats full of friends that came out. So could he have been going back to a second boat?
has talked a lot. He's been with Officer Tatum talking about, his best friend
I don't know
Nolan and
what's
the whole
going
thing.
on,
But
y'all. They
first of all,
like
Warren
I
did
I
not
think
go
it's
to Horn Island
StreamYard,
on the
y'all.
same boat as Nolan Wells. And we have heard over and over from parents and friends, he would, run with the one that got you there, right? So Nolan went with one boat and they expected he would return on the same boat. Yet we're now finding out that was never the plan. He was never going back on the same boat that took him to the island. So when we talk about this group of friends, Nancy, they were scattered on 3 or 4 different boats. And we keep focusing on the one with the bilge pump problem. But now, what boat was Nolan Wells supposed to be going back to the mainland? We know he didn't ride with Warren Hudson to the island. So what was he supposed to be on?
Brian Trasher joining us, Vice President, United Cajun Navy, on the case from the very beginning. Brian, do we know the time of the CETO call made from the Triton?
We do. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know it's been reported, and obviously the CETO would have the exact time of that recording and stuff in their archives. But it seems like it was after 3 o'clock, before 4:30, and we know that the tow was canceled because somebody got in touch with Bart Edmondson, who ended up towing the boat himself, being a good Samaritan. And of course, now that poor guy is getting raked over the coals just for being a good, what we try to tell everybody to be: neighbor helping neighbor.
Now, didn't the grandpa call and cancel the tow?
Yeah, I think that I saw that report as well, and it may have been that somebody contacted him and said, hey, we got somebody to tow us. So maybe he called because he had a better signal and said, hey, they don't need it anymore. Again, these are all kind of, the things that were already out there. I don't think we included too much about that in our report because it had been reported on so much. But I also just wanted to point out too, on the photo on page 14, this is one that we included, even though we could, there's a young man that matches Nolan's description. And I'm saying it that way because we can't verify that it's him in this picture. And he's partially in it because there's a girl blocking him, but it's a young, slender African-American male wearing blue swim trunks from what you could see in the picture. According to the person that submitted that photo, it was taken at approximately 4:50 p.m. Central Time on July 4th, which would have been after the GPS data says that the Triton had left Horn Island. Now, that's only relevant if this young man in the picture actually turns out to be Nolan. We never could verify it, but we thought it was important enough to at least include as a possibility.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Please join us on Crime Storm. United Cajun Navy has provided on page 14 of their new timeline report. We're blowing it up. We see 1, 2, 3 at the forefront, 3 white females in bikinis, 1 white male walking along. Now, beside the woman in the bikini on the right, I see 2 people. One looks like a female furthest away, but between the white female and the other female, there is an African-American male.
They know that.
That does not look like Nolan Wells to me.
And why
Okay.
don't?
I'm going to have to bring in.
Hold up. They act like Nolan didn't change his trunks. And they act like they couldn't have put those trunks back on him too. So y'all got to understand, these kids went to a beach. When you go to a beach, because we are here in Florida, right? That we bring changing clothes just as well, especially if, we get in the water. So it's a bunch of BS.
NASA to enhance this. Brian Trasher, does this guy have facial hair? That's not Nolan.
Again, we couldn't verify, but we could tell that it was an African-American male on the beach wearing blue swim trunks. We thought that was enough to say, okay, it's possible, but we
those are dark blue. Aren't those deep dark blue?
It looks like it, but Nancy, I don't know if this picture's been enhanced. I don't know if it's been filtered. You know what I'm saying? So again, that's the whole reason why we couldn't corroborate. But it was like, okay, and also too, this does create a good picture of a flotilla of boats. So where if we're looking for a particular one, it was a good one to hang on to. So again, fully disclosing that we could not definitively say whether that was him or not. Probably not.
But we need it for the investigation. We need it. And you provided it.
Rule it out.
You got
Use
it.
it to rule it out.
Okay, so is this Nolan? If it is Nolan, this is at 4:50 Ambrose is still on the island when the other boat, the Triton, leaves. I don't think this is Nolan. But that's just my own 2 eyes, 2020 and 2018. It needs to be enhanced. Joining us now, veteran trial lawyer out of South Carolina jurisdiction, John Mobley, the founder of the John Mobley Law Firm. See, a lot of people would say, oh, this is a nightmare, all these witnesses. I would have a field day interviewing each witness separately. It's like a bonanza. What do you make of what you're hearing, Mobley?
Well, Nancy, I got to call it like I see it. I reviewed the report in detail. I don't think it puts any points on the board. I don't think it moves the needle. If anything, I think it shows everyone that has opinions out there how difficult it is to find reliable
got to do
information.
what the hell she
Because
just
one thing
asked.
I want to say about the report, although I didn't find it particularly useful, is that, it sourced all of this information. And unlike the Netflix documentary where people will form opinions on second and third hand information,
What
it would say,
people have to
this person
do
said
what
this, but
y'all,
this
this
person
is real.
didn't witness
I'm
it
gonna turn
firsthand.
this
This
out
person
because
didn't
Nancy will be going
know
hard.
it. Or it said this person
They brought her
made this thing
in
on
to try
Facebook.
to.
I mean, even the digital information, the photos, those aren't reliable because number one, like they say, you can't corroborate the timestamp. It could be the timestamp when the photo was screenshot versus taken, or even the last one we looked at, they're saying they can't say it was reliable because it could have been enhanced, with the color manipulated. So I think it just goes to show how difficult it is to find any real reliable information on this case.
Mobley, no offense, but you're wasting my time. I got 1 hour tonight, and you just wasted almost 1 minute of it.
Okay.
Every investigation starts somewhere. Oh, you just understand something. You have tried a lot of cases, right? That's what I was told.
Ton, and I won most of them.
Nothing like tooting your own horn. Bonk, bonk. That said, every investigation starts somewhere. Yes, I don't have the timestamp, but I can get the timestamp because I know about the photo. You start somewhere, then you start digging, and then you find out what time it was taken. Then you find out if it was enhanced. Then you find out, is that Nolan at 4:50 and the boat has left? You enhance that audio we keep playing. You find out if they're saying, Nolan's dead. I don't know if that's real or not, but I can find out if it's real. So for you, a trial lawyer like yourself, in your own words, most of them, evidence is not handed to you, Mobley, on a silver platter, on top of a Christmas tree. You have to find it. You have to investigate it. And that is the point of this timeline from the Cajun Navy. They're giving us a plethora, a cornucopia of evidence for us to start with. What? Don't waste another minute. Don't do it.
Down a rabbit hole. It takes you down a rabbit hole for information that may not be reliable. The best thing to do is to talk
Man, who is paying you? Because it ain't me. We don't pay guests. Rabbit hole, my rear end. Objection, my rear end. A rabbit hole? That's like you get a list of witnesses and go, yeah, I don't have their addresses. Screw it. You have to find them. You have to find the people that took these pictures. You have to find the people that were on those boats after you ID the boats. Then you have to take them one by one and interview. You know what? I'm sending him to the corner. Let him think about what he just said. Trasher, that's a tiny taste of what you're about to get. Hey, Caitlin Becker joining us, senior national correspondent, New York Post, star of NY Postcast. That's her podcast. Caitlin, what do you make of the photos and the timeline created this far by the United Cajun Navy? Come on, it's something. We've got something. We're not getting anything from the government. We don't have the autopsy. We don't have any information. Nothing. They've gone radio silent.
it's exceptionally helpful to have these things laid out in this way with coordinates and times and pulling in some of the relevant social media information while also noting that it hasn't been verified. It's giving us, I think, the most comprehensive timeline that we could possibly have. I mean, not to push back, because I feel like you push back so much on that poor man, but the rabbit hole is the internet. The rabbit hole is reading every single person's theory. This is concrete information. And when it's not concrete, it says this hasn't been verified. This is at least giving me, from an investigative standpoint as a journalist, somewhere to focus my efforts, to focus my search. The thing that stands out to me are all of the people, like you said, potential witnesses, but also how similar everyone is dressed. They're all in bathing suits, and all the boats look pretty similar to me too. So that, to me, indicates that someone who's saying, I saw this person on this boat, I saw that person on that boat, might not be super clear on that, because as I'm looking at this image, everybody kind of looks the same. All the boats kind of look the same, which does muddy the waters even more and makes talking to them so
I've got
critical.
to work with you before I put you on the stand, girl. No. You are not getting up there and saying, they all look the same to me. No. We would get the name of the boats. We would find who was out on the boat that day from its owner, and I would ask them who's on the boat. I would not rely, no offense, on your boozy eyesight from 30 yards away. Okay, no offense, Kate.
Nance, neither would I. Neither would I.
But there are ways to, contrary to what Mobley just blurted out, there are ways to find these witnesses and nail them down. If that photo is Nolan Wells, and it doesn't look like Nolan to me, then he's on the island at 7 p.m. Okay, now let me remind everybody that the guys on the boat, the Triton with Nolan, they're not charged with anything. They are presumed innocent. So don't be starting up the death threats and all that on them. We need them interviewed separately if they hadn't already been. Who knows what we can learn from them? Don't attack them. I want you to hear what one of them said, though, about the mysterious Katie.
I didn't wake up again until a little after 11 o'clock. And that was to my brother coming in the room being like, hey, Warren's trying to get a hold of you. Warren gets on the phone and he's just like, hey, man, he was like, hey, have you talked to Nolan? Anything else? I was like, no, I haven't talked to him, man. He was with that girl last time I knew. And he was like, okay. He was like, man, we can't get a hold of him. We don't know where he's at. And I was like, man, it's Nolan. He's probably just out somewhere with that girl. Like, get a hold of the girl. You'll probably find Nolan.
Okay, right there, I'm getting a red flag. That's from the Officer Tatum podcast, who joined us recently. That girl, the mysterious Katie. Remember, nobody who knew who she was. But then later, Dave Mack, do we learn that one of the guys on the boat had been texting with her and knew full well who it was? Where did the name Katie come from?
Katie was known to at least one person in the group, and that leads you to believe there were certainly more. There were a number of comments publicly made by friends of Nolan that backtracking, claiming they didn't know who Katie was, had never seen her before, and then you find out, yeah, well, not only did they know her, but they were texting around about her. So there's a lot of missing information here, Nancy, and it's why you said all along, why are these guys not on a polygraph?
Marie?
Just because we're having a lot of people coming up with a lot of different theories, I agree with Caitlin. Not every theory deserves the breath of air. It's not all true. I think it could confuse the search for justice when we're entertaining every single person who posts every single theory, even when it makes no sense. And I have to bring my friend out of probation and say that you can't, go according to every single piece of information you get. It has to make sense to warrant the investigators taking time to investigate. And the fact that they're not sharing with us, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not doing it all. There's no law that says they have to share everything they're finding out with the public.
Hi, guys. American homeowners, the 24/7 monitoring. Okay, so He says, I'm going back with my friends. She thinks he got on the boat. The mystery girl Wells reportedly stayed behind to speak with has been identified. Now, at the get-go, we were told no one knew who she was. He had never met her before. He had just met her and was talking to her. But her sister provides a different account of what happened. Whenever I see a conflict in the evidence, I have a problem. This is all unfolding as we go to air tonight. We wait for that toxicology report. We wait for the autopsy to be revealed. We wait for a witness list to be produced. At this hour, reports a grand jury is convening to amass evidence, much the way the Cajun Navy did. If you know or think you know anything regarding this case, dial 228-769-3063. 228-769-3063. There's been a lot of questions regarding this number. That is the number for law enforcement. We remember an American hero, Deputy Sheriff Bradley Link County Sheriff's, Florida, just 28, gunned down in the line of duty, leaving behind a wife, now widow, Brittany. American hero, Deputy Sheriff Bradley Link. Thank you to our guests, but especially to you for being with us tonight as we search for the truth, aside from all the noise and the threats, the falsities, the enhancements, the alterations. The truth is there, and we will find it. Nancy Grace signing off for tonight, but I'll see you tomorrow.
Nancy be going a little harder with certain things. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but normally she go a little harder, y'all. She go.
I hope y'all got y'all tea.
See what that tea about.
Cause I got mine.
It
says the United Cajun Navy releases new photos. Nolan Wells, I don't know. But I know I see a logo on this.
Okay, you guys, please like the live, share it. Thank you for listening. I'm up. I'm not up this morning like this, but thank you for rocking with me. Everything that you're seeing, I'm seeing for the first time just as well. I'm trying to digest this BS that's going on. So please like the live, share the live. Thank you.
And the logo says TMZ. So when I hear TMZ, that lets me know I need to take everything with a grain of salt. Are the times going to add up? I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not pointing the finger at nobody. I'm just conveying the information that's out here, y'all. But when you look into these comment sections, the people is not feeling it. But before we get into it, y'all make sure y'all hype this video. Y'all make sure y'all are clicking that subscribe button. And y'all make sure y'all keep Nolan Wells' family in y'all prayers. Y'all ready? Let's get into it.
New photos just dropped in the Nolan Wells case. The United Cajun Navy has released their working report. The first image shows the original boat configuration. The report identifies boat number 1, boat number 2 and 3, and boat X, with Warren shown on Palm Beach. In this later image, boat X is no longer visible. The report says the boat configuration changed, but it cannot determine exactly when boat X left, where...
Hey, while y'all bullshitting, I'm looking at them flags that's out there. Not every flag was a USA flag. Some of them flags mean something else.
Where it went or whether it's connected to Nolan's disappearance. Next, Nolan was reported to have arrived at Horn Island on the Triton. Here's one of the newly released images from the United Cajun Navy.
This is a newly released image from the United Cajun Navy, which tells us nothing.
comes the shoreline photo represented as being taken around 4:50 p.m. By this point, boat number 2 was no longer in its earlier position, creating another checkpoint in the timeline. The report also references separate videos displaying times of approximately 3:23 and 4:27. Those timestamps have not yet been authenticated, but investigators say they could become important if verified. Now look at these witness statements. One places Nolan with a group around 5 p.m. Another witness disputes that account entirely. And finally, Caitlin B says her group was parked next to the area and that Nolan was nowhere in sight when they left around 7:30. The biggest takeaway, according to the United Cajun Navy, these images don't solve the case, but they do document changing boat positions, add a new timeline, and highlight the unanswered gap investigators are still trying to explain.
So they saying the reason why we haven't got the Mississippi autopsy on Nolan Wells is because they don't fall up under the public autopsy law, meaning they don't have to give it out to the public.
Nolan Xavier Wells' autopsy report back today. Let's get into it. Today is August 3rd, 2026. Okay, so listen to me. The guy that runs the Cajun Navy, who was on scene, on boots on ground when Nolan Wells was found, he has something to say about the autopsy report. Let me get into it. He literally says that Mississippi does not fall under the public autopsy law. So if the parents don't want you to ever know about his autopsy, you ain't gonna know. Listen.
But in Mississippi, an autopsy in Mississippi does not fall under the public records law. So they want to keep it secret. They may keep it secret. I don't know.
He also stated that Nolan was found in the water. But I thought he was found on land. I'm super confused. Listen to this clip.
Call your planes down. We've got a body in the water.
Okay, let me know what y'all think in the comments.
The only thing I can think of is that damn Stacey Turner is hiding something. That's all I can think of. No throat, no organs, no lungs. Man, something suspicious. With red discoloration in the back of the head. Man, stop playing, man.
I have a problem with the where and the who discovered Nolan Xavier Wells on July 6th, 2026. Let's start with the who. A National Park Ranger Service is the one that anonymously discovered Nolan Wells on July 6th, 2026 on the northwestern tip of Horn Island. The reason I have an issue with this is why are they anonymous? Official documentation during active ongoing investigations require identification. This is not a random person. This is someone paid for by federal tax dollars. And if that is part of your job and you discover a missing person or someone who was reported missing, why would their name not be released? We know other names have been released in law enforcement. The sheriff that said that we don't suspect foul play at the very beginning. Other officers' names were brought up. Why the one that discovered Nolan Wells? Why is this National Park Ranger Service individual, why is his or her name being withheld? In the where? Cajun Navy officials were flying around for 2 days looking for Nolan Wells. And all of a sudden, just a National Service Park Ranger just makes their way through and goes, oh, there he is. Now, there's some speculation that they missed him the first time as they walked by, but then saw him the second time. But not a boater saw him, not a camper saw him. No one saw him, not the United Cajun Navy officials. They didn't see him as he was flying over. The park ranger is the one that discovered him. Out of the blue, not from aerial view, from the bird's eye view, but from ground. And that individual is still anonymous. I'm sorry, but something's not adding up.
These boys been into boating ever since they were younger. If I'm not mistaken, one of the boys' grandfathers owned one of the boating companies. What in the hell makes you think that they don't know somebody that's a park ranger? They all know each other. When I say that they all connected, I don't just be saying that shit. They are really connected. Oh, you got something going on? Hold on, let me call my buddy. They all connected, bro. They are not going to try and get no real answers for Nolan Wells. And this is why so much time has been going by without nobody coming out speaking. They lawyered up. They got lawyers and shit all in their fam, judges and all of that shit. Them people ain't trying to get no answers, bro. Who is these other people? Eli Jacks, Eric Alcantara, Morgan. People only be speaking about Wyatt, Katie, Warren, and Bart? Who the hell is Eli Jacks and Eric and Morgan? I think I heard Morgan, though. I think I heard Morgan.
The state's autopsy is complete, but is being kept secret. Isn't an autopsy a public document?
Is there trauma to the body? Is there something that happened?
That's what the family is saying. They don't believe he died by accident. That's the reason why Nolan Wells' mom is saying, I don't believe this.
Why is it being kept hidden from us, the public? What is in that autopsy, the first autopsy of Nolan Wells?
Her theory has always been that he did not drown. Her theory has always been that there's something wrong with this picture. There are additional questions that needs to be asked.
Katie, girl, you had me fooled. I really thought that them receipts was really gonna help you, but you had us all fooled. Girl, ain't this you? Hold on. But Katie, on that boat, girl, ain't this you too?
Damn.
And ain't that you and your friend girl when you was hugging the girl, hugging her? That's you and her on Bart's boat. And then this is you too, Katie, on that boat that them thugs allegedly gave to Rayson Tatum and said that was proof that it was the video when they were sinking, right? Same bathing suit, same hat. Girl, you've been lying to us. So it's you and old girl's voice on that. I'm going to at Ben Crump and Miss Christine, because you probably been lying to them too. I mean, we know there's a grown woman on there too. But girl, you lied. You lied. So which one you want to do? Do you want to be like the people on the 48 hours say, do you want to be a witness? Or do you want to be a suspect? Girl, you've been lying this whole time. Ooh. Oh, also, you knew that they've been spelling your name wrong because your name isn't Katie McCormick. It's Katie McCormack. Y'all didn't catch that either. But anyways, girl, you better make up your mind which one you on, which side you want to be on, because them is not your friends. They not.
I know that Christine and Nolan's father are good people because they ain't got to explain a goddamn thing to y'all. They don't got to explain how they grieving. They don't have to explain how they're responding. They don't have to explain Nathaniel. They lost their child. They are the people who are victims in a situation, no matter how their child was lost. So them seeking answers and wanting to know what happened to their child is what any good parent would do. Wanting them not to ask questions and not to seek justice for their child who is no longer here is what makes you all bad parents. Because if you think for 1 second that a parent shouldn't be trying to cross every T and dot every I in the case of their child's death, you're confused. You're confused. These are clearly parents who love their children. Because anyone who would just sit down and take what is happening and be railroaded and not ask questions about their child's death is not a parent who is loving their child. And honestly, the level of strength that it takes for them to be able to do that while grieving their child is incredible. So I just want y'all to know that I'm already knowing that they good people, because I would have been cussed y'all asses out.
Triton that was under the age of 18 drinking and doing drugs. I'm letting you know right now, the Triton is the boat everybody wanted to be on because the boys' boat that rhymes with the name Smart is where everything went down. In this video alone, we see them all board you know whose boat. They never get on the Triton because the Triton is a $50,000 boat that the parents took. The kids were on the mother kiddie boat. Remember how they all boarded up and left? On the little baby kiddie boat, the Triton didn't move when they were on it. No one ever has a video or picture of them boarding the Triton. Like, that's why they keep saying Nolan was never on the Triton, because they never used the Triton for the 18-year-old antics. They were all on the other boat. Oh, and in these videos where we see everything going down from the argument, the boys playing and jumping the fuck around, there are at least 4 boats that are in every motherfucking scene, and there are 2 adults on every boat, i.e. this one, the Sea Hunt. They are seen on this boat that says Garmin at the top. They are seen partying on the mysterious dead Katie's boat, whatever. They are also seen on this boat called the Palm Beach. This video came from a user on Facebook that recorded everything, and I'm telling you, this area that they were all in, all of these boats, as you can see, the Sea Hut, the Palm Beach, and the Big Garmin boat.
All we do is got to be patient. There is more to come out. Telling you.
They were on were all secluded and tied off with something like fishing wire because this was their specific area for the day. This also included this boat, which was a blue boat that just so happens to have someone called Dr. Detail on it. I'll get to that later. I am telling you, the kids were not allowed on the grown folks boat, and there are so many different videos.
delete their social media accounts because of course they probably took photos and pictures from that day. But you're telling me there's not more than one video that has emerged? There was that other video where they thought they saw Nolan on the boat, that, you know, the real daddy, little daddy Mac
was the reason why they hopped on the case so fast was because the adults were on the boat as well. I don't know. It's just a question of mine. Because who was supplying the alcohol beverages? As an investigator, I'm not an investigator, but if I was to investigate, I would go to the stores, the local stores, to see the footage of who was purchasing the alcohol beverages. Almost every local store got cameras. So who was in there purchasing these beverages? I know it's a lot of footage to go through, but the answer is out there, y'all. Also, who was supplying the nose candy? Somebody knows something. Like I said, the answer is going to come out. We just got
Looking for a K-12 education that goes beyond the textbook, right from the comfort of home? Welcome to a new standard of online learning.
Beyond general education, our students dive into specialized virtual labs for real-world job readiness. Genealogy lab, historical lab, civil law, and our media and public speaking lab.
We prepare global citizens with immersive Spanish and French language tracks. And because we're proudly Florida-based and Step Up certified, families can access the elite education through state scholarship programs.
Diverse representation, academic excellence, and career readiness, delivered entirely online, wherever you are. Secure your child's spot today. Secure your child's spot today. Visit our website to enroll.